Coach Prime and the staff, they're out on the recruiting trail right now to wrap up 2023 before National Signing Day, but also to start 2024 off on the right foot. And they have a pretty big recruiting weekend coming up next week. And we kind of got to talk about who some of those visitors are and why Colorado fans should be excited. Because there's one player in particular who I think has flown under the radar, and he won't be flying under the radar much longer. But before we get into it, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. Let me know what you all are thinking down in the comments below. Where do you guys think the 2024 class for the Colorado Buffaloes will end? So we're going to start the news off today with Jaden Rashada. Jaden Rashada was asked to be released from his NLI from the Florida Gators, and we had talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And if you remember correctly and you watched that video, you know that I had kind of put in that Jaden Rashada might be interested in Colorado, that there might be mutual interest between both parties. Coming up to now, it's starting to seem like that might be a little bit more of a possibility. Jaden Rashada is actually going to Arizona State yesterday. Don't know if he's still there today for an official visit. And then I believe he will be taking another visit to TCU, where Kendall Briles is now the offensive coordinator there, and Garrett Riley has now moved on to Clemson. So the question is, does Coach Prime want to go ahead and take this quarterback of the future in this class and try to land Jaden Rashada, or does he want to wait in 2024 and get a guy then? If you get a guy now, you'd be able to develop them a little bit more while you have an experienced quarterback in Jadan Sanders that can go out there, win you games, and help lead the team. But with Jaden Rashada, one of the things that you're getting with him is he's 6'4" and 175 pounds. So he's got the height to be able to see over his offensive linemen. Really, if the man was just able to put on a little bit of muscle mass so that he is able to take hits, Jaden Rashada would be an incredible prospect. But when you watch the Elite 11, you watch Jaden Rashada's tape, right? He gets the ball out quickly. He generates a lot of power out of his lower body to have the ball snap out of his hand. And that's an important thing with the quarterback. He goes through his progressions. He gets the ball out quickly. He knows when to get it out. And that's important. So if Colorado and Coach Prime, if they were able to go out there and land Jaden Rashada in the 2023 recruiting cycle, listen, Buff fans, you guys would have to be excited because you would have landed Dylan Edwards, Cormani McClain, and then you would have got Jaden Rashada. Those are three big-time recruits that were recruited by a lot of schools that are ultimately going to help your team succeed in the future, especially Cormani McClain. That one was just huge. So we will definitely have to keep an eye on the Jaden Rashada news and see if potentially he chooses Colorado. But looking at the list of visitors next week, and I bring this up in the same video because it would not shock me to see Jaden Rashada in that list of visitors next week as this list continues to progress. We're talking about the list early because there's just so many guys that are showing up, and there's so many big guys coming in here. I think for now, we're going to keep this list tied down to just some of the 2024 guys and 2023. We're not going to talk about the 2025 guys that are coming up because 2025 is still 2 years out on that recruiting class. So we don't necessarily need to talk about that one right now. It's not as important as 2024, which is where we're at now. So the first one that you guys have in is Ryan Wingo, the 5-star wide receiver out of St. Louis, Missouri, 6'2", 205 pounds. So one of the things that I like about Ryan Wingo is obviously his size, but his track background included a 10.55 100-meter dash as a sophomore and a 21.31 200. That's impressive. He comes from a track family. His brother is Ronnie Wingo Jr., who played at Arkansas as at the running back position from 2009 to 2012. So Ryan Wingo is not short of college football experience and at least just being around this atmosphere. But he's extremely fast, and so he's going to be able to beat a lot of his defenders. And again, with his size, he's going to be a dangerous man, whether it's in the receiving game or in the return game. And whoever gets him, which I think right now he's crystal balled to end up in Tennessee, they're going to get a special talented wide receiver. Additionally, you have the high four-star, top 60 player in the country, 4-star, 6'5", 285-pound offensive tackle, Brandon Baker. Now, Brandon Baker is going to be a prospect that a lot of people are going to be coming after because there's not a lot of great offensive tackles in this class. But Brandon Baker has continued to elevate his game over the past year and establish himself as one of the top tackles in this class. Potentially could be the best when it's all said and done because we still have a whole year in this cycle. He played a little bit of guard and tackle in his sophomore year when he transitioned to a full-time tackle as a junior. He can play on the right or the left side. Now, traditionally, you're probably going to see the player come in and they're going to put him at whatever side he's best at, but that's nice to be able to have a player that can play at either side to have just maybe a little bit of leverage or depth there. This is a guy that you would expect that's going to go to the NFL, right? If he's continues to add on more strength, he's going to continue to trend upward, and it's going to be a guy that's going to see a lot of snaps for whatever team decides to go out there and grab Brandon Baker. But additionally, you guys have Stacey Bay coming in, the athlete. You guys have Jacob Bradford, the defensive lineman, Shakir Collins, the linebacker, and then Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, and then for the 2023 class, you guys have Christian St. Jean, and then you have Adam Hopkins and Omarion Miller. Two of those guys are committed, and then you guys also have Dejan Kalaman, though also another wide receiver. So you guys have a decent list of people coming up. But the player that I said you guys need to be keeping your eyes on, and if you guys are still here with me, go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know that you guys are here, and let me know that you made it this far. But the player that I think you guys should be paying the most attention to, a guy that is going to be gaining a lot of steam on the recruiting trail, it's Danny Okoye. And Danny is a homeschooled kid out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, 6'4", 241 pounds, playing at the defensive end position. So he's an edge rusher. Right now, he's currently ranked 178th in the 247 composite. This kid wasn't even ranked a month ago. I just want you to understand that. This kid was not even ranked a month ago. And honestly, if it was his choice, I think this kid would end up at OSU, Oklahoma State. His family is very pro Oklahoma State, loves it there. You just gotta have him. You gotta have Mike Gundy be able to give him the chance out there. But in 2021, here was his stats in 2021: 78 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. Danny Okoye is a guy that has been picking up offers on the recruiting trail like no other. You've seen teams like Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, TCU, Miami, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Kansas State, Duke, Baylor, Kansas, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Missouri, USC, Oklahoma State. All of those guys have offered Danny Okoye. So that tells you he is a big-time player, and he's going to be a big-time player because he demands those offers because of the type of player that he is. So, Colorado, I know you guys might see this guy. I don't want you to overlook him because ultimately, if he ends up on your defense, remember how we talked about fighting in the trenches? This is a guy that's going to be able to go fight in the trenches with you. So go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what you all are thinking down in the comments. Do you think Jaden Rashada becomes a Colorado Buffalo? And then also, where do you think this 2024 class for Colorado ends up at the end of the cycle?